Hey, this is Sandy.
And Randy.
And we're here on AT Corner.
Being an athletic trainer comes with ups and downs, and we're here to showcase them all.
Join us as we share our world in sports medicine.
Welcome back to another episode of AT Corner. For this week's episode, we have a very special tribute episode for all the gems from Jen.
You are giving me chills just to talk about this, and I still can't believe that we are doing a tribute episode because I feel like there are still so many stories that we're supposed to be getting from Jen.
Yes.
But unfortunately, we got news from Joyce that our beloved Jen Krohn passed away this month.
Wow, I'm still in shock.
This is going to be a hard episode.
This is going to be a hard episode.
To listen to AT Corner podcast is to know Jen Krohn.
Oh my gosh, yeah, seriously. I think one of the coolest things was when we were able to finally meet her in person
At NATA in Philly.
In Philly. Yep. I believe on the expo floor. That was pretty special. That was really cool to finally have to see in person the gems from Jen.
So Jen has been one of our supporters from the very beginning. I went back and just to give you I know Randy just said the first time we met her was in Philadelphia, but literally we are athletic trainers in Southern California, and Jen was an athletic trainer in upstate New York. And the only thing that connected us, that probably wouldn't have, nothing would have connected us before that, was that we just decided to put together a podcast. And we were looking for stories. Yep. And Jen she loved to tell stories. And I went back and looked through our email, and the very first email we got from her was in August of 2020. I think it was less than a week after our first episode aired.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's pretty special. Holy smokes.
Right?
I didn't realize that. That's really cool.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure we started in August.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
We actually met on Zoom first, or on a video chat first, because then we end up doing a co-hosted hockey stories episode.
And that was our first co-host episode.
The first sport co-hosted episode we've ever done, which honestly, and this is not just because we're doing this episode, it is probably the most shared episode that I personally, every time I tell people about our podcast and tell people about the stories and or when we share we're hey, do you want to come on to co-host with us about stories? I always go back to that hockey one.
Yeah. That has been the barometer for all our co-host sports stories.
Yes. I think we got to go back and listen to that one.
I agree.
And that one does have not only our gems from Jen, but also the cool ones from Kevin.
That's right.
Which I did start this episode off with a cool one from Kevin.
Mm-hmm.
I asked him if he wanted to include anything for this special episode.
Yeah.
Do you want to read this?
Yes. So Kevin says, I first met Jen in 2004 when we worked the Empire State Games, which is the state Olympics, quote unquote, for New York. Jen was easy to talk to and probably just as sarcastic as anyone else I have ever met. We hit it off immediately. Over the years, we would share AT horror stories, bond over good drinks, and even better food when we would travel to conventions. Many of my coworkers were introduced to Jen over the years, and she would immediately greet them with a hug and look of sympathy as she would say, I'm so sorry you have to work with Joyce. This became the running joke that would run through the 20-plus years we knew each other. Whenever we would talk, she would always make a point to ask how my kids were doing and what they were up to. One time when my oldest was playing hockey, she sustained a concussion, but still wanted to go watch her team play. We traveled down to Utica, and Jen made it a point to come see us and talk to my daughter about concussions and what she needs to do. It wasn't even prompted from me. Jen just knew that a 12-year-old will never listen to what their parent has to say. But that was Jen, always being the good friend, the great AT, and the even better human. Many of us in the AT community are better because of her and what she offered with her guidance and friendship. There wasn't a convention where her laugh couldn't be heard, mostly at the bar, but sometimes in the exhibit hall. She introduced me to this podcast with the statement, "Joycey, they want good stories, and I know you and I have them." The AT community has lost a member that made it a better and stronger world. We are worse off now that Jen is no longer in it. Especially the AT corner community has really lost a pillar.
You know what's crazy is in the expo hall when we met Jen was actually also when we met Kevin.
Yes. Yeah.
We met them at the same time because they were together.
Mm-hmm. We still have that picture somewhere.
We do. I'm gonna make it the art for this.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
So our first story, I decided for this episode that what better way to fill an entire episode with stories from Jen. And
all the gems.
No, not even close to all the gems.
True.
I have pulled 7 pages of stories from Jen.
Oh my gosh.
Single spaced. So I have no idea what direction this is going to go into.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many of these have been shared before, but I know some of them have not been shared.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think a lot of them. I think I pretty much have shared a lot of Jen stories.
Yeah.
But I think some of the like individual messages.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this first gem from Jen is actually from episode 13. Crazy MOIs. Cross country is out on the track doing straights and curves as their workout. I'm called out to the track because someone is hurt. I go out there and there's an athlete sitting on one of the benches that are on the track. A word about our track. It surrounds a soccer field and the benches for the teams are always on one of the straightaways. They're big, they're metal, they're 12 feet long. There's about 20 feet between them. Is it the safest thing? Probably not, but I've battled that for years and no one will ever move them. So this kid is sitting on the bench holding his leg. He tells me that he ran into the bench. He has a cut. Is it deep? Sorta. Does it need stitches? Maybe. What I couldn't understand was the level of this kid's pain. He was off the charts in pain. I couldn't figure out what was wrong, and I thought the kid was kind of being a baby because he'd never been hurt before. I ended up sending him to the emergency department. He comes in the next day, in a cast, with a picture of the x-ray. He had a huge crush fracture in his tibia. He was out of sport for 6 months.
That's crazy.
I asked him how he couldn't possibly have seen the bench. Come to find out, he ran into the second bench. So he ran past the first bench and hit the second. His explanation? I was in the zone, man.
This is the most cross-country injury. Like, that is the only way that would happen, is if it was a cross-country runner.
You know, most of the stories we got from Jen were cross-country and soccer.
Oh, that's funny. That's awesome.
Cross-country, I think, because they were the bane of her existence, and soccer because they were quite the opposite.
Well, and she knew
and hockey, obviously.
Yeah, and she knew I would just love to hear the cross and track stories.
Yes, those ones are all for you. You want to read this Halloween one?
Yes. So Jen says, okay, so if you've already done your Halloween podcast, you'll have to save this quote unquote gem from Jen. See what I did there?
Okay, so this, I don't know, maybe it was so early on. When I went back to this episode show note or document to see like what was written, like I just wrote gem from Jen. It was coined here.
That's
like,
awesome.
She coined it. I don't know.
I don't remember that.
I do not know. Like I didn't know how it
how
arrived
it started.
or how it started. But there we go. Officially on the books right here.
Baseball season, game day. My guys were moving a little slowly that day, and like you do, you hear things. I'd heard that there had been a big party the night before, and a bunch of them were probably hungover. All right, hand out ibuprofen, make sure these dummies drink enough water, and I'm good. Well, no. My first baseman comes into the training room and says that he needs something covered, and could I help him? All right, so anyway, I asked what he needed covered. He drops his pants to reveal a tattoo of a bulldog face with the phrase, straight doggin'. That was their phrase that year. Don't ask. Beneath the dog's face. I'm sorry, that's still really fun. That's pretty funny. The tattoo happened as a result of the part where the whole team went to the party, chipped in, and got this kid to get the tattoo. Anyway, the superstition became to slap the tattoo for luck before the game if you were having a slump.
I wonder if it worked.
I mean, if it kept going, then I bet it did.
So I think a good way to explain Jen is that she's very sarcastic.
Yes. That's straight dogging.
I think as Kevin Joyce put it, the only AT who could out sarcastic him.
Yes.
Another thing about Jen is that she was just, you could tell the amount of trust that her athletes had with her.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
I think one of the first things actually I thought when we heard the news was that I just cannot imagine what her school community is going through.
Oh, absolutely.
Jen wrote to us about building rapport. Building rapport is a great one. And sometimes I think the hardest thing to do. As much as I don't like to admit, the age gap is definitely widening between my athletes and I. This makes some things easier, some things more difficult. It's definitely easier now because none of them want to date me anymore, so I no longer have to deal with that hurdle. It was a blow to the ego, but hey. I'm starting to be seen as more of a mom figure than a friend or sister figure, and that's okay too. I'm the mom who won't judge them when they tell me stupid shit they've done to hurt themselves, but I'm also the mom who will call them out on the dumb things that they've done.
Mm-hmm.
For whatever reason, my specific athletes like the honesty and tough love approach. When they say, Jen has no chill, I'm 90% sure they mean that as a compliment. I've worked hard to establish rapport with my athletes and have definitely made some missteps, mostly with communication. As much as they like to see us as friends, I have to let them know where I draw the line. They can't bash their coaches and be disrespectful. If they are, I call them out and ask them what they're doing to change their relationship with that coach.
Mm-hmm.
I won't let them demean anyone, so typical locker room talk isn't allowed. I either handle it with humor / mild insult that turns the comment back on them, or I ask if that's something they'd like to say about a relative / significant other / friend, etc.
Nice.
If their behavior continues, out they go. And out they go in a dramatic fashion. I think it's good for your athletes to see you lose your mind every once in a while. It lets them know you're human. It lets them know you care. And in a way, it lets them know that you provide a safe space for everyone and you won't put up with things that aren't right.
Yeah. I like the end of that. That was really nice. Let you know that you're human.
Mm-hmm.
Let you know that you care.
Mm-hmm.
I like that a lot.
You know, going back through these, I found out that Jen wasn't originally planning on being in community college.
Oh, interesting.
So I actually have
Did we know that? Have we heard this one before?
I think that we have, but it's been a while. So
okay.
I am going to play this voice note that I am going to pull up right here.
It's been an interesting week for you to ask this question because it's been bookended by highs and lows for the profession. Starting Saturday, we had a soccer incident where we had an unconscious athlete that had to be transported to the hospital. They are fine. But the parents were there and the father came out of the stands and was holding their child's neck, yelling at me, going, I've got C-spine, we're going to roll him, we're going to roll them. And I'm in my calm athletic trainer voice going, "No, sir, we're not going to do that. Your child is breathing normally. They have a pulse. They're still unconscious. We're going to leave them right here." Everything turned out fine for that athlete, and it was just a very difficult week for many other reasons. But tonight, we had 2 athletes come back after fairly significant injuries, and both scored, and both of them dedicated their goals to me, which was always fun. But why did I choose the venue that I chose, or not the venue, the setting that I chose? It's more, why did I stay in the venue that I did? Because I certainly didn't choose junior college. Had you asked me that 1.5 million years ago when I got certified, I never, ever would have said that I wanted to be a junior college athletic trainer. I didn't even know junior colleges had athletics, to be quite honest. I didn't realize that junior colleges were anything more than glorified high school when I started my job 21.5 years ago. Actually, almost 22 years ago now. Junior college definitely has a place in academia and higher education. They do so many amazing things for so many deserving students. The resources that they offer is just incredible. I've become a believer in junior college education, quite frankly. And that's part of the reason that I stayed, because with junior college education, you also get junior college athletes. They are a very interesting bunch across the board, but I'm not sure that I would change a lot of what I have done because of the athletes. We only get them for a short time. The shortest time, pretty much, in almost any setting, with the exception of maybe a physician extender. We only get them for 2 years. So our relationships are short, they're intense, and they could be long-lasting. I've had some athletes that are now friends that I have known since my first year at my current employer. I am the only athletic trainer for around 17 sports. I do love the everyday challenges that multiple sports give me. I do hate the fact that I'm always feeling like I'm never quite doing enough for all of the athletes, because I do have to do things like ship them out for rehab almost all the time, because I just don't have time to do a lot of it, or to do a lot of it well. But I think it's a great niche for someone who likes a lot of different things at a lot of different times. Hasn't decided on a quote-unquote favorite sport that they have, or wants to learn a new sport. I learned ice hockey and lacrosse when I came up here. 2 sports I had never really worked with before, or never really had paid much attention to, because I went to college in the South and those weren't things that we had. So junior college is a fantastic setting, and it does have its limitations because it tends to be mostly 1 or 2 man shows, and a lot of times funding is fairly limited. It's certainly not a Division I program, but you definitely can get creative with what you have and what you can make work. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, man, the community college kids, they are a special bunch.
You know, I don't think I knew that Jen didn't work hockey before
I know.
the community college setting.
That seems wrong.
Right? Seems like it's just ingrained.
Yeah.
So Jen often reminded us that the podcast really invigorated her love for telling stories and helped her get through COVID especially. And speaking of COVID, in episode 161, Future Minded, we were talking about how to keep your job fresh. Jen says, have a global pandemic. I think I've mentioned before that right before COVID hit, I was considering leaving the profession. I was burned out and not having any fun in my job. I know I'm probably the most experienced contributor you have, and I'm winding down my career. I'm also a bit of a unicorn in that I've spent 99% of my professional career in one place.
That's crazy.
Actually,
All in itself, that's pretty rare.
Actually, yesterday started my 23rd year at this job. Well, the 6-month break I got from sports, coaches, and the athletes reignited my passion for athletic training. But something else also happened. We got a huge influx of international athletes, particularly in men's soccer. These student athletes are mostly from Spanish-speaking countries, although now Brazilian Portuguese outnumber the Spanish speakers. We've had a few French, Italians, and some from the UK. Don't tell me that their English is the same. Some African dialects, and one who even spoke Dutch. This started my passion for being able to communicate with my athletes in their languages and has led me to my now 572-day streak on Duolingo.
Nice.
Talking to them every day has kept my cup full because even though nothing else has changed as far as the hours, the sports, and teaching part of my job, these kids are genuinely interested in me and what I can teach them. Not just about the aspects of my job that keep them healthy, but about our country, where to go, what to see, the things I like and don't like about living here. I know not everyone has this experience with internationals, and I know I'm incredibly lucky to have them. I'm so inspired by these athletes that I'm contemplating really shaking up my life and taking a sabbatical that would involve sports medicine in another country.
Nice.
Which leads me to the story that I searched for because it's probably one of my favorites that Jen has ever told. She has in her athletic training room one U.S. map and one world map. And she said that at the time, this was in 2023 when she set this in, this is the only the second year that I've done it, so I'm leaving the pins up. I'll see how long that goes. Madrid, Valencia, and Rio de Janeiro already have a bunch of pins, so they may have to just be there and I won't add any more. But basically, she adds pins for where all the athletes are from.
That's really cool.
I think it's just cool to see, like, how expansive that is.
Yeah, I was just thinking, it's kind of cool to see, like, how many cultures walk through your clinic.
Yes.
It's pretty cool. And all of them do shape the clinic somehow.
Yeah.
They shape the vibe.
So we also did an episode on kit stories where Jen said, favorite thing in my kit, PowerFlex AFD. I cannot tell you how much I love it.
Is that the one that has the
little gauze attached?
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah.
Most unique thing I've ever kept in my kit, frosting. One of my diabetic athletes suggested it instead of glucose tabs because it dissolves in the mouth. So if the athlete passes out, there's no choking risk.
Genius.
Right?
You know what's funny is I probably said the same thing for this one in one of our stories, and the kit stories. I probably said the same thing. Genius.
I mean, yeah, it's quick sugar.
Yeah, and I like the
choking.
no choking risk.
Yeah, I never really thought about that about glucose tabs.
Yeah,
I guess that's also probably similar to like honey.
Yeah, probably. Mm-hmm.
Best thing my kit has ever been called. It's a tie between Mary Poppins carpet bag and the giant mom bag.
Makes sense.
So I know we mentioned it before about the mom title, but mom was a very big theme, especially lately, that Jen has kind of acquired. Someone even said that one of her athletes was going to get Mama Jen tattooed.
Oh my God. That's so funny.
In our boundaries episode, Jen shared how Jen is more than just an AT.
Mhm.
She says, I'm seen as more of a mom figure, particularly to my internationals who are so far away from home.
Mhm.
When time permits, I do everything from helping them navigate school stuff, apartment hunting, moving on to their next school. I get a lot of geography questions. And most recently, how to plead not guilty to a speeding ticket and opening a bag of fruit snacks.
Oh my gosh.
For our gift guide, the most favorite gift she's ever received as an athletic trainer was a pair of earrings because it was the day of the mom,
Oh my gosh.
Mother's Day. And then she goes on to say, this one I don't think has been shared. This particular bunch is really special. Both men's and women's soccer both went to the national tournament, which was in the same place. I now have a soccer mom shirt signed by both teams. I'm going to be devastated when they all go.
Oh, that's so cool. That's really cool.
It's so nice to be so close to a team like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is.
Also, I never really thought about it, but I guess that's true. Like, we're the only real traditional setting that gets athletes for 2 years.
Yeah. 2 to 3, depending.
Or 4.
4, yeah.
Sometimes. But for the majority of it, we get
It's
them
2.
for 1 or 2.
Yeah.
I guess I haven't really... I mean, I've been at the high school, but I wasn't at the high school for that long. So,
Yeah, I wasn't used to having athletes for only 2.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. I used to have them for 4 to 5. 6 if something really went wrong.
Yeah, seriously.
And some of them you're like, can you please just graduate?
I know some of the kids, that's how I feel, but I only have to deal with them for 2 to 3.
I know
or 4.
It's any setting, right? There's the ones that you're like, oh man, it's only been 2 years. They're like, why do you have to leave? You're great. And then there's some like, oh, it's only been a year. You got 1 more. But you know what? Actually, on that note though, because of how quick it is, like you really do see your athletes grow a lot.
Yeah.
Like I've had some, like granted, I've had one of my student athletes for 3 years because he had a medical red shirt. And from his first year to where he is now, like night and day, like so much growth. And that's what's really cool
Growth
about
in like what way?
like personality and like just
Like maturity?
yes, like being an adult. And like, that's what's really special about our setting is you get to see
kids,
that.
you have to hold their hand when they're like, but my parents make all my doctor's appointments for me.
Yes.
And then by the end, they're a rock star.
Yes. That's what's special about our setting.
What, you mean you can actually call the doctor's office by yourself now?
Mm-hmm.
This is one that Jen sent in for Randy.
One year during track regionals, I also had a longer day because we had a kid trip over a hurdle in the 200 and break both bones in his forearm. Only track, dude. After we're done, I went to the emergency department to check on him and his coaches because they were all pretty traumatized. I got a really nice thank you email from that one.
That's nice.
That's very funny. God, that is such a track injury. Breaking both bones in his forearm. That's a bummer.
Yeah. So here's one that I obviously think that we shared, but I am glad to be reminded of it. So Jen was also a lifesaver.
Mm-hmm.
She goes on to write, I'm not entirely sure if I've shared this one before. This is sort of off duty, but not. It was the end of the semester, and a friend and I were headed to the holiday party that we always have that school throws for us. I had hurt my knee, so I'm limping up to this party. We're cutting through a building because it was 35 degrees and raining. Typical December in upstate New York. We rounded a corner and are looking out the windows onto the quad, and we see someone on the ground. We look at each other and say, is that person down? Are they okay? My more mobile friend runs down the hall and out the door. I limp as fast as possible over to the phone and call public safety to get them into action. My friend comes back and says the nurse is there and my friend is going to get the AED. I go out the door and look at the nurse and she says, I'm going to need your help. We turned the patient over, and they were very blue.
Oh, no.
Their bladder had also let go, so I figured we were about to start working on a dead person as I couldn't get a pulse. I started compressions on one knee with my other leg straight out to the side. AED arrived, and the nurse took over compressions. I did breaths, and my friend was on the AED. As she was about to press the button, I'm yelling, "Clear," and I'm slapping the hand of the public safety officer who reached out to hold the victim's hand. Seriously, dude, didn't you pay attention when I taught you CPR? How funny. Anyway, after 2 shocks, pulse returned along with agonal respirations. The longest 2 minutes of my life waiting for the AED to say analyzing heart rhythm again.
Mm-hmm.
Paramedics were on the scene for the second shock and loaded them into an ambulance. The patient survived.
That's awesome.
I learned a couple things that day. Those things you see in the CPR video really do work exactly like the video. It's pretty amazing. I'd work with my school nurse in an emergency situation anytime. She was a freaking rock star, and we worked together seamlessly.
Nice.
Adrenaline and a couple glasses of wine will basically take care of severe knee pain for a good 2 hours after an incident. I was feeling great.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, man, the body is crazy.
It is. It's pretty amazing. I mean, shoot, you just saved a life.
I know.
Hell yeah.
I feel like the adrenaline high and then the adrenaline come down, and it's just like,
Oh, yeah, I know. I bet.
Here's another concussion one. Here's another
Track one.
Which I just spoiled it.
I was going to say, based on that, I could imagine where this is going. This is maybe 4 weeks before our regional meet, and my track coach's kid was a pretty talented cross-country runner. And he was also a steeplechaser. Oh, no. Side note, I hate steeplechase only slightly less than I hate hurdles. Running and jumping should not go together. But don't forget the water pit.
Dude, I love the hurdles.
Yes, you do. I love the steeplechase. It's fun to watch. Anyway, I was in the ATR when someone leads the coach's kid in. He's scraped up and he looks dazed. I asked him what happened, and it turns out he caught his trail leg on a barrier and hit the track face first.
Oh,
that's pretty brutal.
Randy, I'm so glad you didn't do that when you ran the steeplechase.
No, I was safe about it.
No, you just hyperextended both of your knees at the same time.
Better the knees than my face. No one knows why he couldn't get his hands out to brace himself, but down he went like a ton of bricks.
Oh, no.
I ran him through some concussion tests, and it was obvious he had a concussion. I talked to his dad, and he asked if I could monitor him until practice was over, and then he'd take him to the ER. Yes, this was a thing we did. It's the only time in my life I regretted not having a video camera. Over the course of the next 90 minutes, he had almost every sign and symptom of a concussion. It was textbook. He had a headache, photophobia, he was laughing, he was crying, he didn't know what day it was. I told him. He asked again. He kept insisting it was Monday. It was Thursday. He got mad. He got sad. He was anxious. Luckily for me, he saved the vomiting for when he was in the ER with his dad. Took him 3 weeks to recover enough to compete.
Which is crazy. 3 weeks is actually pretty fast for that.
I know, seriously. God, that's the most track way to get a concussion, by the way. And of course, it's got to be like a pretty talented cross-country runner, of course. Oh, and of course, 4 weeks before regionals.
Mm-hmm.
This story just screams track.
Does it bring back the days?
Yes. Like how one of my kids, like literally the week before regionals, decided it was a good idea to grab his longboard and go like right down a hill. Concussion.
I don't remember that.
Oh, God. Yeah, he was one of our seniors. Seniors. The leadership of this squad. Or there was the one that was messing around in the weight room, got a concussion.
I remember that one. Stood up into the bar, right?
Stood up right into the bar. Only cross-country track and field.
Yeah. Would you like to hear another voice note of the worst day ever?
Yes. Absolutely.
Let me pull this up.
Day from hell.
So this has nothing to do with anything that you've asked, but you need to hear about the day I've just had, and maybe you can do an episode on the worst day ever. So we have had a basketball scrimmage tonight. We have a volleyball tri match tomorrow and women's soccer on Sunday. And then we also have practices going on and all of that. So today I get in after sort of fighting a cold, not really sleeping well, so I'm already tired. Get in at noon. Guys start rolling in. Fine. I go to soccer practice to go talk to somebody, and I'm talking to the coach about things, various and sundry things that is going on, because he's also my boss and the athletic director. So, blah blah blah. We look down. I go, why is there a kid down? He goes, I don't know. I didn't see anything happen. I said, I didn't see anything happen either. So I start going down the stadium stairs to across the soccer field / football field. And there's a kid down, and he's just, sobbing, rolling around in pain. And I said, are you kidding me? Because not 20 minutes earlier, I had said, I haven't seen this kid in 24 hours, and it's a record. Well, karma just slapped me right in the face. So this kid goes down, and it turns out that he probably has broken his foot in a collision. Yay. Thing one. Well, I usually take the kids to the doctor because because it's just, part of my job, whatever. Can't do that tonight because we have a basketball scrimmage. Trying to find this kid away to the doctor. Okay, fine. Oh, by the way, he's an international student, so he doesn't have a car. Prepping for the game, starting to get ready. Got to go talk to the volleyball coach about something. Our game management guy comes in, like, running across volleyball practice and goes, you have to go back to your office. So-and-so just came in and he's bleeding. And I'm like, wait, what? The custodian that used to do our building has now been assigned to another building, and he cracked his head open, and there is blood everywhere. Everywhere. I've never seen so much blood. I had to ask if he was on a blood thinner. Turns out, cut is probably only 1 or 2 staples worth it. I mean, like, less than an inch. So there's that. Get that cleaned up. Women's soccer starts coming in as, get them in, get them out. Basketball starts rolling in. Well, as basketball starts rolling in, here comes in 4 softball girls, one of whom has a very swollen face. Or, I'm sorry, she was holding an ice pack to her face. I said, oh, okay, what happened? She takes the ice pack away. Her face is swollen. Oh, dear God, what happened? Ball bounced, hit her in the face. Okay, fantastic. I'm looking at her face, looking at her eye. Apparently, this is an eye injury week for me, but that's another story. Looking at it, and I said, I don't mean to be rude, and there's no good way to ask you this, but did your nose look like that this morning? Or, have you looked at your face lately? And she's like, yeah, no, my nose is slanted. I said, okay, pretty sure it's broken. Off you go. Go get x-rays. We got to see what your face is. So, yeah. Oh, by the way, as soon as she walks in and I'm dealing with her, the other team that we're scrimmaging tonight shows up, and they need like 4 or 5 guys who get treatment, taped, heat, whatever. I feel like a little bit of a superhero because I've survived this day. But this has probably been one of the worst days ever.
I said, first of all, you are a superhero,
Yes.
even without surviving that day.
Yes, that's a true statement.
Also, that legit sounds like one of the worst days. LOL, when it rains, it pours.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I would. No, thank you.
No.
Do you think we should go back in time to share the BOC story?
Yes, absolutely.
This one starts with, gather round the campfire, kiddos, and listen to my ancient tale.
Yes.
So
I remember this, by the way.
Yes.
I do remember this one.
So I took the BOC a million years ago when the internship avenue was still a thing. When you actually had 3 sections and took the practical part in front of other people. So let's harken back to the days before the millennium and Sandy and Randy were born. I was doing my internship in Florida at a D2 school, and my supervising AT, also my best friend, was doing an amazing job helping me prepare. I got a weekend off in the middle of softball season to go ahead and take the BOC back home in Virginia. We both figured it would be great to see my family before I took it, sleep in a familiar place, blah blah. Also, the TSA was a former mentor of mine, and I'd see him on the day of the exam, so it would be a boost there. I followed all the rules the night before. No studying, no nice dinner, no booze, bed early, all of that. I get up and have to drive about an hour from where my family lives to the test site, a high school. I get there in plenty of time, and the building isn't open yet, so I'm looking through my books, my notes, and all of a sudden I see a guy frantically running around knocking on car windows. I roll down my window and he shouts the words, "They moved the exam! Go look on the door for directions!"
Oh, no.
Please remember, my Gen Zers, this was before GPS was a thing. I had to use a map. The school was about 25 minutes away from... Oh my gosh.
That's wild, yeah. Oh, don't worry, it gets better.
25 minutes is nuts. From where I was. The exam was supposed to start in 20.
There it is.
Wow, that would be panic zone. What if you take a wrong exit? Then it takes you like 30 minutes or more. Off I go, along with a pack of panicking AT hopefuls, all driving as fast as we could without getting pulled over. I arrive at the testing site. I check in. I see my TSA buddy and say, "I know you miss me and you're one for the practical jokes, but really?" Turns out there was a change in the test site by the BOC, but they only notified about half the participants for that day's exam. Yes, the BOC used to be an all-day adventure. So I go in, sit down, breathe into a paper bag, and organize my stuff for the morning section. I'm not sure what the BOC looks like now, but there was a part on my test called the written simulation. We'd read a scenario and then take a magic pen that would reveal the next part of the scene after we had chosen an answer. It went super well, as I almost killed a kid with a hemothorax.
The BOC.
Undaunted, I had lunch and came back for the second part. The second half of the test was multiple choice and the practical part. How they did the practical part was they'd start calling out people out of the exam in some order. You'd go and then you'd come back and finish your multiple guess portion. Well, I'm a good test taker, and despite there were questions about types of splints I'd never heard of before, I swear, out of 100 questions, there were 6 million on splints. Clearly, I've gotten over it. I finished pretty early. I went up to the proctors and let them know I was done, and whenever they could fit me in for the practical, that would be great. I sat back down to wait. I happened to look over at the table, and there's a proctor crooking her finger in a "come here" motion. Oh, damn. What happened? Do they think I cheated? Did I already fail? I go up to the table and she says, "Yeah, there's a small problem. There's only one room of examiners that doesn't know you. You're going to have to wait for that room." Isn't that great?
Yeah, that's funny.
I think that just shows like
Yeah.
the personality of Jen and
Yeah.
how many people she's just touched. Because you were performing special tests, anatomical landmarks, etc. in front of live people, they obviously couldn't know you because that wouldn't be fair. So this is where going home to take the test didn't work in my favor. I finally go into the room, do my exam, and completely forget where the Pezanserine is. I located it somewhere near the wrist. I've never forgotten where it is from that day on, by the way. 7 days later, my results came in the mail. Oh, how do tests that have an in-person objective, but like it's an in-person.
Yeah.
How do they get the results in 7 days while the fully automated digital version?
You know what? That's
weeks?
a great question, actually. Come on,
I mean,
BOC.
I know they have to like wait till everyone in the window takes it, and then they can throw out the questions and like whatnot. But like,
Yeah, but like I feel like 170 questions. Like, who's gonna remember all those questions? Even by the way, you're not supposed to talk about the BOC. That's one.
right?
But also, like, how are these kids gonna remember? I'm pretty sure, like, if you tried to even help your friend with it, you're probably not going to help them because you probably forgot. And then they're going to get that question.
Unless you're Mike from Suits.
Yeah, unless you're Mike from Suits. Then I would say, probably could have went to medical school.
7 days later, my results came in the mail. The snail mail. The place where you only get Christmas and birthday cards now. Now, if I were smart, I would have opened the big, thick envelope from the BOC that had the letter started with, "Congratulations," and then told you how to order your certification plaque. But no, here's what I did. I opened the results that came in the same type of envelope as your PIN or a settlement check from a class action suit. You know the ones. Perforated edges they have you tear off in a certain order, or the thing that remains sealed for all time.
Mm-hmm.
The Ark of the Covenant is easier to open than these stupid envelopes. I finally got it open. I passed, which coincidentally is all I could say for about solid 10 minutes. I called my BFF. I passed. She's like, "What's the matter with?" "Oh God, you passed." And that, friends, is how you take the BOC before computers.
Yeah. Let me tell you what happens nowadays. Is, like you said, you sit on a computer for 175.
Hey, your story is now old. It's over a decade old.
Okay, but at least the process is still the same. Yes, it's a decade old, but it's still the same process. You sit there on a computer for 175 questions of hell, and then when you're done, you have to wait weeks to get your results. But just to make it even funnier, the BOCs all of a sudden start sending emails about, like,
other random crap.
Other random crap about things you quote unquote need to know. But every time you get a BOC email,
it makes your heart go down.
You think it's your results. So yeah, that's what it is now. So all the students listening, get excited.
So I have two more that I just want to share to wrap up. The first one is just how into it and excited Jen got with her teams. Do you want to read this technical foul story?
Yes. I used to get way more worked up and into basketball games than I do now. I grew up around the game, played in high school. It was probably my favorite sport to watch. I would sit on the end of the bench and basically go nuts. Cheering, foot stomping, the whole nine. I was also not afraid to let the refs know what I thought of their calls. Nothing offensive. Never spoke to them, but I certainly wasn't subtle. During one men's game that was particularly close, one of the refs pulled our coaches over and said, "You need to tell your trainer to calm down or she's getting teed up." My coaches looked at him, looked at each other, looked down the end of the bench and said, "Yeah, we're not telling her. You tell her." They were laughing pretty hard when they told me this after the game. I had no idea. Wow, I feel honored because I feel like I actually literally probably like last week I was pretty convinced I was going to get a technical foul.
I know when you called me and said that.
Just because there was one ref that just didn't like how cautious I am with head injuries.
No, that's not a way to frame it. Didn't like that you chose to go out for a head injury.
Yes, correct.
And wanted you to wait to get called on by an official, even though no other official is going to wait to call you on.
Yes, correct. She did not like that while the person's laying there, not moving very quickly.
Yeah.
So we had that same official for another game, and I just said to myself, "Oh, I'm getting teed up tonight." It's going to happen. I did not, though. I was lucky enough not to get a technical foul.
That's so funny. And ending on a positive note, thankful. Here's why Jen is grateful/thankful for AT. I have a real job without having a real job. As much as it's crazy and exhausting sometimes, I appreciate being able to shop at weird hours when there aren't people around, get time off in the summer and the holidays. Very unusual, I know. I've met so many people and had experiences that I never would have had without AT. Travel, watching former athletes on TV being successful. I've gotten the opportunity to teach future ATs, and I am so proud of the ones that went all the way. I've got a D1 AT, won the ATs for the U.S. snowboard and ski teams, an orthopedic surgeon, and a future women's health MD among my alums.
Oh, that's awesome.
I never would have met my best friend, mentor, and the reason I became an AT. When we met, she was still a student and I was an athlete, and it was an instant friendship. She's still a person I bounce things off of whenever I need to, and she's introduced me to yet another amazing group of ATs. You know, one time we actually, Jen sent us a text message screenshot of a former student who she had, who happened to be a listener of our podcast, and heard Jen's name, or maybe no, and heard this hockey episode, something along those lines. They just knew it was Jen, and reached out to Jen and was like, "I can't believe I just heard you."
Oh my gosh, that's funny. That's awesome. I think that just shows the impact that Jen had.
I agree.
Yeah.
And still has.
Still has, absolutely.
There is, her school is creating a scholarship fund in her name, I believe. So if you're interested in donating to that, we do have the GoFundMe link that we are putting in the show notes. And I think we'll also put that up on our Facebook group.
Yeah.
We haven't really used our Facebook group in a while, but we will still put it there for people who use it. But yeah, you can find that in the show notes below. Honestly, if you pick up any other story episode that we've done, you will most likely find another gem from Jen.
Yes, absolutely.
I think one of the hardest things to conceptualize is, like, after hearing the news, it was so hard not to, like, because we message all the time. Like, it was very hard to conceptualize that, like, that's not
Can't do that anymore.
right.
Yeah.
But we are so lucky to be able to share this.
Yeah, absolutely. Very thankful and grateful for her.
And her memory will live on.
Yep.
If there's anything else you guys want to share about Jen, you can also do so in our Facebook group. We do have other story episodes, like I mentioned before. We do CEU episodes as well, thanks to Clinically Pressed and Athletic Training Chat. And we also do highlight interview episodes. So if you're interested in hearing the rest of our podcast, go ahead and find us on any podcast directory. Check out what you're interested in. And I think that's all I have.
Thank you for helping us showcase athletic training behind the tape. Bye.